What is up, Panthers Nation? It's Aaron Duncan here, back again with another video brought to you by Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. In this channel, I give recap and analysis of the Panthers, including film breakdowns, analysis videos like this, weekly live streams, and news. So make sure you guys subscribe if you have not, because today we are talking about the most important offseason in franchise history. Yes, I said it. The most important offseason in franchise history for the Carolina Panthers. We are at a turning point in this franchise, people, so we got to talk about it. But before we do, make sure you guys give this video a thumbs up, because it really helps get the word out for my channel, and it really doesn't cost you guys a thing either. But let me know down below in the comments how you feel about this team going into the offseason. What do you expect in certain moves to be made on this front? You know, we got some pending free agents that may need to get re-signed, but we don't have a ton of cap space. We're going to get into all that, but I want to get you guys' thoughts. Let me know down below in the comments about how you feel about this team going into the offseason. So one of the first and biggest things about this offseason that's going on is our search for a new general manager. You know, we got rid of longtime general manager Marty Hurney, and most of the fan base was happy about that. This guy was part of this franchise for 20 out of the 26 years of his existence. Marty Hurney is more Carolina Panthers than anybody we've ever known. You know what I'm saying? He's had his fingerprints on a couple Hall of Famers that's come through here, but now he's gone. We're in a new era with David Tepper and Matt Rhule. So both of those guys are going to have a big say-so in the general manager that comes through. Matt Rhule's going to probably have a little bit more power, even though he keeps denying it, but he's going to have a say-so in the decision-making of what GM comes in, because he wants to make sure those guys are on the same page and there's cohesion from top to bottom, from ownership all the way down to coaches and players. So Matt Rhule will definitely have a say-so in this, but that's probably why you've heard the Panthers being rumored to want to interview and interested in so many different guys. Like, there's literally been a wide range of guys noted. If there's a guy that's looking for a job that has potential, the Panthers are probably inquiring about him and possibly going to give him an interview, you know, because the Panthers are trying to get this right. Like I said, it's a crucial offseason. You have to make your next move, your best move. You know what I'm saying? We have a turning point with a new coach, and we have a lot of young players. And we're in a crucial point where the salary cap is in a weird spot, so we need a general manager that's smart, that's young, that's innovative, that's going to cooperate and get along with the head coach and owner. You know, it also helps that you have the richest owner in the NFL, so you actually have the checkbook and the resources when you do become a general manager to put behind you and this head coach and this program. So it can be a very attractive position. Yes, the talent or so may not be there just quite yet, but if there's a GM that actually believes in Matt Rhule and is happy with the amount of money and resources that David Tepper can put behind them, it can be an attractive spot. Yeah, there's other teams out there that have younger quarterbacks or better rosters, but money talks, B.S. Waltz, a wise man once said. And speaking of money talk, the salary cap looks like it may actually not go up as high as we expected because of the loss of revenue for COVID. You know, it's expected to possibly go up to $210 million with all things being equal, but it looks like the floor for it now is going to be $175 million, which is only a $10 million increase from last year. The salary cap is still going to be a little bit hindered starting out, which pretty much sucks for the Panthers, because this is a crucial time, because they have some free agents and some other pieces and moves they need to be able to make to kind of retool and reshape this roster, but they don't necessarily have the funds to be able to do that. So that's something to pay attention to. One last quick nugget is the possibility of Joe Brady maybe getting a head coaching position. He's going to be rumored to be interviewing with a couple other teams. We'll see what happens, because he's young. He come from LSU. They saw what he did with LSU. They saw how productive he had our weapons with that, even though we didn't score that many points. And some people may think that Joe Brady's not ready. We couldn't score that many points. We only averaged 24. We were 24th in the league in scoring. But some of these teams, they don't care. They hired Cliff Kingsbury after he had losing records in college. Joe Brady, they may just be blaming our struggles on Teddy Bridgewater and think Joe Brady actually is the right guy for the job. So it would definitely suck to be having to fill our offensive coordinator position and our general manager. If it comes to the point that we lose Joe Brady and our quarterback coach and some other offensive staff, that could be devastating for the development of the rest of our offense, especially if we bring in a young quarterback in the draft. That may almost force our hand to keep Teddy, just to have a veteran presence that can get along with the new offensive coordinator. So the Panthers have a ton of free agents, most importantly, 6 on the offensive line. And of that offensive line, the coveted piece, of course, everybody knows right tackle Taylor Moton, one of the best right tackles in the league. Of course, you have guys like Mike Davis, Curtis Samuel, and F.A. Obata that's also going to be out on the market as free agents that the Panthers may need to consider re-signing. You know, it doesn't seem like there's going to be room to sign Curtis and Taylor, according to the way this money situation looks, and according to our capologist that said that It's going to be tough to sign both of those guys, so you never know how the money's going to work out because obviously the priority is going to be the offensive line. We know this. Offensive line has been a problem for years on end. They weren't as bad as they seemed this year, but we're losing a lot of pieces, and we need to retool this line and make it younger and better and sustainable for the future because this is something that's been an issue for far, far too long, and you can't expect to usher in either a young quarterback or even Teddy Bridgewater without having proper protection in front of him. A guy like Samuel, what he brings to the table is very versatile, but a lot of people feel like they can replace him in the draft if you want to. Guys like Jalen Waddle and Kadarius Toney and Rondale Moore, guys like that have similar skill sets, they feel like they can get just as equal value out of them as they could in Curtis Samuel. I myself saw how clutch Curtis Samuel was on third down, saw how much we struggled in the games that he didn't play on third down, so I feel like he's a valuable piece. If you can find a way to get this guy here, he could be a great piece to put in his offense because, like I said, he went over 1,000 all-purpose yards. Some of that was on the ground. He showed his versatility, being able to fill in and take the load off of Mike Davis as they tried to replace Christian McCaffrey's production. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is the salary cap space. And like I said, with the reduced salary cap because of COVID-19, we're going to be up against the wall. And so looking at the numbers according to overthecap.com, which is an online database that shows contracts in NFL, the Panthers will be going into this offseason with about $16 million in cap space, which is not a lot of money when you're talking about a guy like Taylor Moton, who is going to want to get paid $16 million, which is what Trent Brown, the right tackle for the Oakland Raiders, got paid. He was one of the better right tackles in the league after he left the New England Patriots. And then Curtis Samuel, if you definitely want to bring him back, like I feel like you should, he's going to want 11, 12, 13 million dollars to be paid similar to how basically what Robbie Anderson was getting paid because the production has been somewhat similar and the roles are just as important on this team. So I see Curtis in the 11 to 13 million dollar range. And you don't have to be a mathematician to see that with only $16 million in cap space, we're going to have to work some magic to be able to do that. Luckily, since we don't have a GM, I've done my duty as a Panthers fan and the interim GM. And I went to Over the Cap and did some math and found out some moves that we could make to make all this work. You want to see how you can find some money? I'll show you how to do it. Follow me. So I have 3 simple steps that need to be done in order to generate a lot of money for our salary cap space. So the first move is you're going to have to cut some veterans. Number 1 is going to be a guy that I feel bad about even bringing this up because he's one of my favorite players on the team. It's going to be KK Short. Now, KK Short has a cap hit about $20 million, but if you were to get rid of him after June 1st, you'll save about $14.5 million, and that's a lot of money. I like KK like the rest of them, but if we have F.A. Obata, who had a successful season rotating in KK's replacement, you could possibly draft another guy to make a rotation as Derek Brown, Yetur Gross-Matos, and Brian Burns develop. You can make up for the void of missing a guy like KK Short in the middle. He's been gone the past 2 seasons, so obviously we haven't missed him that much. The next vet that'll have to be cut is Matt Paradise. Matt Paradise, he was signed by Marty Hurney. He wasn't a great offseason pick. He was coming off an injury from the Broncos when we picked him up, but if you were to cut him, you would have saved $8.5 million there. He struggled against some of the good D tackles in his league like Ndamukong Suh, Sheldon Rankins, Vita Vea, and Grady Jarrett. So if you can't block guys in the division, what's the purpose of you being there? We can get some young guys in here to give them a chance. They're a lot cheaper than Paradise. So cutting Paradise will add another $8.5 million. Another vet that we can get that we just brought in was Stephen Weatherly. Stephen Weatherly was a defensive end that hurt his finger that was out for the season. Yetur Gross-Matos came in and filled in for him, and he did a good job anyway. Yetur needs to get in and get some reps and get experience because he's so raw that he needs to be on the field playing anyway. Weatherly was not that productive when he came in. So if you were to get rid of Weatherly, you're saving another $6.5 million there. And last but not least, which is not much, but you can get rid of Mike Pilardi. Mike Pilardi is one of the better punters in the league. However, he's out this year with a non-football injury. You'll be able to save $2 million and only have $500,000 in dead cap because Joseph Charlton, the rookie punter we had, he's had a rough up and down year, but he had played fairly good for a rookie and a guy that was an undrafted free agent. So if you can get that cheap of a guy in your team like this, he's a lot more affordable than Mike Pilardi, even though Pilardi is a pro bowler. It makes a difference because when you're this short on salary cap space, you need to find any dime you can get. So if you make all those moves and cut all those vets, you'll end up saving about $31 million in cap space. Add that to the $16 million that we had, you're sitting at $47 million, but we're not done. That takes us on to step 2. Step 2 It doesn't involve cutting anybody, but you're going to go to Shaq Thompson and tell him, hey, we know you signed this big boy deal this past offseason, and we're happy to have you here as part of our future, but we need you to do the right thing and restructure your contract. We need to move some money around. That way we can save some money and bring in some more players to continue to grow, since you're going to be here with the future to help you be successful. And being able to restructure Shaq Thompson's contract, according to Over the Cap, we'll be able to save about $7 million. Which is a pretty decent chunk of change. So if you add that $7 million to the running total of 47 that we had, you're sitting at about $54 million in cap space, which is looking a lot better and pretty dang good when it comes to that. But wait, there's more. Step 3 of the process I did is you're going to go to Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson signed that 2-year deal with us after being with the New York Jets and suffering in Jets abysmal. He got with Matt Rhule, his former college coach. He's a Temple disciple. He had over 1,000 yards, he had a breakout season, 95 receptions, led the team in receptions. So you want to reward this guy for the good play and being a good guy and being back with his former head coach. You're going to go to Robbie Anderson. You're going to give him an extension. If you extend Robbie Anderson, you'll be able to save another $5 million. With possibly losing Curtis Samuel, I think extending Robbie Anderson is the right way to go. So you get killed 2 birds with 1 stone. You get to extend a quality wide receiver that has some speed, that fits this system, that likes Matt Rhule, and you get to save some money. That's going to bring your total to a little under $60 million in salary cap space. Now you're cooking with grease, because with $60 million, you can do what you want with the draft if you have to go quarterback, because possibly you could be in the market for a free agent corner or a free agent linebacker or another free agent pass rusher or D lineman that you may need. So there's a lot of different options you can do. You have plenty of money to re-sign Taylor Moton and Curtis Samuel, have some more money to retool the offensive line, because I know you have Greg Little and Dennis Daly back, so you need to find out what you have in those guys, but you can fill in the other holes, possibly a left tackle and a center with the extra $60 million that we freed up. So all things look a lot better. Full disclosure, like I said, I am not a general manager. I'm just filling in right now until we hire one, and I'm basing all my numbers on Over the Cap. How accurate these numbers are, I don't know, but if you put in the scenarios that I just told you, it equals $60 million in cap space. So lastly, let's take a look at the NFL draft and the team needs. So the Panthers will be going in with a number 8 overall pick, a top 10 pick once again. Last time this team picked at number 8, they chose Christian McCaffrey. So hopefully they can get this right and get a good player there. Some people are rumored us to take Trey Lance after seeing that Teddy Bridgewater isn't a long-term answer. And most people are expecting us to not be this high again because we lost so many close games. They expect us to pull out most of some of those close games in the future and probably not have a top 10 pick ever again. So it may be the right time to get a young quarterback. I don't wholeheartedly disagree, but I think that some of the other needs ahead of it, I don't wholeheartedly disagree, but I think there are other needs ahead of it that need to be addressed in the draft, starting with offensive tackle, cornerback, then quarterback, then tight end, and then a pass rusher. I know it doesn't sound fun to take an offensive tackle in the top 10 of the draft, but sometimes whoever we're going to put at quarterback definitely needs to be protected. So we'll either need to address that early or late and often like we did with the defense. I would not be surprised to see us go a heavy offensive draft after doing a heavy defensive draft last year, just to be able to turn the tables. I don't think it'll be all of our picks will be offense, but I think a majority of it will be, and they'll just let this defense either be addressed in free agency or let them continue to grow with the players that we have. You guys let me know down below in the comments what you think our biggest draft need is and what do you think we should address. How do you feel about the team's offseason? How do you feel about me telling you about how to free up all this cap space? Let me know if you think those moves are crazy. Do you think they're smart moves to make? Let me know down below in the comments. But without further ado, I'm Aaron Duncan signing off with necessary bluntness. I'll see you next time. Peace.